Hello, I'm Beardy Blocks. Welcome back to my channel for another sim racing video. Well, sim racing video at long last. I've been promising one. This is Assetto Corsa. If you like arcade games, then yeah, this is not the game for you. This is definitely a real challenging game. You have to use loads of technique in this. I'd say this is much more. I'd say it's another step up from Gran Turismo and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really quite a nerdy sim. For the nerdy sim racers, I'd say. And even on PC, I think for a long time, this was the sim racer favourite. I know there are ones that people prefer now, but yeah, I really enjoy this game. When you first play it though, you'll probably go on something quite small, like a Fiat 500 or something. When you race the AI on them things, the AI just seems to be extra brutal. Now, if you go up a few classes, why would you play around with the classes? And I found this sort of almost DTM class, you know, the BMWs and the old school 90s BMWs, Mercedes. And I'm in an Alpha. I'm driving an Alpha 155 today that I'm going to be showing you a race that I did particularly well a few months back. This is one of my trimmed videos, and unfortunately I can't see what difficulty I had it on. I suspect it was medium, but hard is doable. I've done it on hard. I'm struggling on very hard. Very hard seems to be where my limit's at on this. So if you wanted to challenge me and you could beat very hard, then that would be the one to do it on. But this was a particularly tasty race I had. This is a few months back now, but I thought it would be a good one to share with you because it's a good one to watch. So, yeah, and the settings that you see on there, I go with factory on the ABS, but then I don't think it makes any difference on this. If anyone can tell me what difference the factory settings make, because I lock up all the time. I do lock up. I'm quite heavy-handed on the brakes. I think brakes is where I'm crap. But yeah, let's go into this one and take a look. Right, so here we are at the start. Now, with AI, I mean, it would be a very different start, I think, with people, because some of the people in front of me would have gone for the gap that I go for, because you can quite consistently shoot up the middle like this, and it's like they do close up on you a bit, but you can get through every time, I find, with these, even on hard. Yeah, and then you find yourself up in a nice position already. I'm already in 7th, I'm going for 6th, and I started in 15th, 16th. But yeah, so you can see you've done the bulk of the work before you've even come to the first few corners. But now comes the difficult ones. The last 5 are always the more difficult ones because they kind of spread out a bit. But yeah, as you can see, I'm using a few little techniques here. I'm using controller, by the way. I'm not on steering wheel. I wish I was. But in some respects, you do have some advantage in some sort of capacity with the controller, because if you want to use things like heel and toe technique, left-footed braking and stuff like that, and this is a game that really responds well to them techniques. It's a really good. I'm going to send it. I feel a bit guilty there because I kind of exploited the AI there. They always give you a bit of room if you've got a bit of bumper with them. He wouldn't have probably steered off there. I do feel a bit guilty, but that was one of my only guilty moves. But yeah, you can pull off all the sort of moves that require you to use weird foot, dancing in the footwell. But yeah, we're going in for a nice pass here, if I remember right. And see that idiot in the beamer? He went off, and now look, you see, it just gives me a little love tap. So I'm not happy now. And I know that with this stretch down the hill, the computer's always a little bit hesitant down here, so I just send it. And yeah, it's a bit awkward, bit of an awkward pass, you know. Give me a little wink of the bum hole as I go past, and then coming down into this section. This can also be an awkward section. Always cut this corner here. That corner is made for cutting. You carry so much more speed round there, but quite technical round here. I'm just trying to balance it there in second. And this corner as well, I can quite often spin it on these corners. It's quite an easy game to spin it. If you haven't got any traction control or your balance aids, you know, on, it is really easy to spin it. And you shouldn't have them on. It's a sim racing game. Go play an arcade game. Go play Forza or something. Forza's probably up the street. And yeah, obviously that was a deliberate use of the dirt there just to get myself pivoted. That wasn't accidental whatsoever, but it worked. Totally sent it. And then coming down into this section, and look, we're playing for second here, and we're not even halfway through the lap. I was having a really nice race. Unfortunately, I didn't hold it for the entire race. I do have some pretty significant mistakes later on. But yeah, the whole time I'm behind, I'm putting some real pressure on. But then Yeah, and as I said, it's totally different racing against AI. You've seen a couple of exploits there already, but look at this lovely move here, nice throttle control coming out. Just and it's quite, in some ways it's nice playing the computer, because if that was a human player, that you'd be relying on quite a good driver. And look, now come the mistakes. You'd be relying on a good driver not to close that gap up for you. But another mistake. Yeah, I'm loving these curbs at the minute, but then it does get better. I think I do start picking up in a sec. But yeah, coming down to old Lauda corner, this is where Nicky Lauda had his big moment. I think it is called Lauda corner, actually. Such a strange corner to have it on. It's probably mechanical damage. I can't even remember what they said the cause of it was, but. And that actually looks like that corner. You really have to frighten yourself with that corner, because you have to go in on what feels like a wrong line, like it does with any sort of late apex corner. You come in really wide, and it feels like you've got it all screwed up, and it's quite hard to force your head to not take apexes when in them situations. But yeah, I managed to nail it on that one. But yeah, coming down here, I've already put some quite nice distance considering the amount of mistakes I've had on old Mercedes back then. We're coming up to my sort of favourite part of the track. If I remember right, this is called Courage Corner, I believe, and I'm less than courageous on there. You can proper send it on that corner, but I didn't. But then we're coming down to where it's my more preferred parts of the track. It's definitely an easier part of the track, the second half. Well, I say that, I suppose it's subjective, but I find it easier anyway. So yeah, after this corner we'll be coming up the hill towards the carousel. And yeah, with these cars as well, with these race cars, they don't really like the carousel that much. I was toying with whether it's quick around the outside, but I've had a few goes on this class, and yeah, I do really think it is quicker on the inside. I just lost a lot of grip there, and you could see he came right up behind me. He's gained a lot of ground on me, sorry. So yeah, now we're coming into my favourite sort of part. I like the more cornery bits, and these are just such nice flowing corners. You can see I can really pivot it in. Yeah, using a bit. I think you'd break your car in a little while. Yeah, not very long at all if you drove like I did. I don't know whether real racing car drivers just bounce it off the limiter like I'm doing here, but then I do have it on 100% damage here. So and driving like that for any length of time, you will end up breaking your car. I'm actually holding the lines reasonably here. That was a bit of a muff up there, but I say that brought me in for a nice line onto this corner. Totally send it on there, showboating, and then coming up to YouTube corner, and I did what everybody does, and I had a YouTube moment. I'm a YouTuber, what do you expect? So now we're off down here. I hate this corner. I took this totally wrong. Take it on a much later apex on that one, so come out wide. I couldn't fight my instincts to take the apex, and yeah, stay out wide and take a late apex. I love this corner when I get it right, and I think, yeah, I did kind of get it right there. That wasn't too bad at all, but you can go proper hairy into that corner, and yeah, it can be quite scary. And yeah, down here, this bit here, it's one of the bits I do know what it's called. I think they call this bit Beloff Straight, named after the guy that held the record on the Berg for forever. I think it was like more than 20 years, 30 years, I don't know, I can't remember, a long time. And yeah, a bit of a legend. Yeah, and then we're coming up to one of my less favourite corners. So if this seems very Jimmy Broadbent-esque, but I do love Jimmy Broadbent, and this is my favourite track. And it's such a shame that Jimmy's vowed that he's not going to do his videos where he does time trials around Nürburgring anymore. But maybe I should try and pick up where he left off. But yeah, he's really competent. I love Jimmy. Great person to watch. Great. I think it's as much his personality and anything. I think Super GT is probably a bit quicker than he is in terms of competent sim racer. I say I don't know. There's not much in it, but with Jimmy, he's just so easy to watch. But yeah, now we're down onto this straight. As you can see, I've put some distance behind me now, even with that mess up on YouTube corner. And it's basically me and the Mercedes are just sending it now, and we've left all them stupid BMWs behind. The BMWs are easily these M3 things. They're easily the worst out of the bunch on these. The Mercedes aren't too bad to drive, but I do prefer these screaming Alfa Romeo 155s. And yeah, cutting it really nice and close here. I think I actually clipped a little bit there. And getting a bit hairy there. Yeah, I got a little bit panicky on the last bit there. I know I was coming to the end, and I knew I just totally sent it through them last corners. That last little bit is really tricky. But yeah, then that's that. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that anyway, Sim Racers. Sorry I've neglected you for such a long time. I do wish I was on TT2. And well, I say that, I don't think there'll be any TT2 tutorials because it's so hard to say. But then, but yeah, hopefully I will get on that at some point when I can finally afford it. But yeah, and maybe some more Assetto Corsa videos coming up as well. We'll see how much you like them anyway. But yeah, anyhow, I've been Biddy Blocks. Bye bye. Bearded Blocks.